Hey everybody, we're almost there. You guys have been requesting a new Tyrion video. This is going to be all about Tyrion's problems with Daenerys this season based on some of the things the actor has said. Just careful for spoilers for everything that's happened so far. There's a new round of the HBO Now giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. So there's a lot of interesting cast interviews that are happening. Now they're just dumping them because this is the last week before everything starts. And in addition to everyone hyping up how crazy things get and all the reunions that are happening, there's a lot of interesting, maybe not so surprising things that people are saying about Tyrion and Daenerys' dynamic, because he's Hand of the Queen now, and he's incredibly smart, but Daenerys has a huge problem in that she is almost invincible on the show. She's walked through almost every fire that they've set in front of her, literally and metaphorically. So even the writers are quoting this as being a big problem because Daenerys and her dragons are kind of like nukes. Like she could just ride in and blow everything up. But because she's trying to win the love of the people, they had trouble balancing the characters and the narratives. Like you can't be completely one-sided. So it implies some really interesting things about Daenerys' storyline in addition to the things that Peter Dinklage has been saying. Here's the quote about Tyrion. Helping her out is Tyrion Lannister, who faces the prospect of fighting his family members, obviously talking about Cersei and Jaime. Tyrion's history with his family is spotty at best, but is there any possibility that his loyalties might be torn? We'll deal with how much Daenerys can trust him to stay on her side against the Lannisters, Peter Dinklage says. But he's smitten with his employer. How good can he be at his job while having those feelings? And all of a sudden a bunch of you are like, wait a minute, hard stop. Does that mean that Tyrion is going to fall in love with Daenerys the way that Jorah is in love with Daenerys, the way that Daario was in love with Daenerys? As sexy as a powerful woman can be, especially a woman with dragons who knows what she wants, I think they're implying that Tyrion's going to have trouble managing Daenerys. And part of that has to do with the way they talk about trouble balancing the storylines. Like she comes in with these nukes. What does that mean for the story? It's so one-sided, so Daenerys sounds like she's going to go a little mad queen this season in dealing with the people in Westeros, because it's one thing to deal with the Wise Masters or the Dothraki Horse Lords when they tried to subjugate her. They told her in so many words that they were going to treat her like a piece of human garbage, so the path was clear. They had to die. Similar situation in episode 9 with the Wise Masters. They were going to tear down all the good things that she's done and start treating all the slaves like human garbage again. There was no moral choice to be made. It was her or them. But now that you're in Westeros, there are a lot of innocent people and just a lot of different opinions about the best way to rule the kingdom. There are a couple instances where you could say that Cersei has definitely crossed the line. Blowing up the Great Sept with wildfire definitely does make her seem like the villain of the season. But you have the Lannisters, you have Euron Greyjoy that she's promised to take care of, and you have the people in the north. So we're entering situations where Daenerys just doesn't have a lot of experience in dealing with political matters like this. It's a political battle as much as it's an actual physical battle. So she can point her dragons in a direction and they can set everything on fire. But Tyrion is the one who's going to help her plan her battles. And it just sets a really dangerous precedent in her storyline where at every point she's presented with someone trying to tear her down, destroy her, subjugate her, turn her into a slave. And that's not the case anymore. Now she's the invading force trying to take the foreign land, not from a bunch of slavers, but trying to take back something that she believes belongs to her. So she doesn't have the moral high ground anymore, and it actually sounds a little bit more like Robb Stark's storyline, where he's someone who's beloved by his own people, but he just handed victory after victory after victory and stops listening to the people around him. So it sounds like Tyrion and Daenerys are going to start butting heads, and Tyrion will have trouble managing her, mostly because of his feelings for her and Daenerys' overconfidence. So when they talk about balancing the storylines, there are actually a couple easy ways that you do that. What is the one thing that makes Daenerys invincible? They say that she's immune to fire, but really it's her dragons. You take a dragon away and suddenly she's not so invincible. You take her down a peg. So in the way that Robb Stark failed to listen to his commanders as well as his mother and broke Waldorf Frey's marriage contract, leading to the Red Wedding, you could argue that Waldorf Frey's allegiance was fragile at best. He would have turned on him eventually. But it was really the broken marriage contract that he cited as his main reason for siding with the Lannisters. Robb Stark paid a price. It sounds like Daenerys is headed in that same direction too. It might not play out the same way, but literally the biggest thing you could take from Daenerys would be one of her dragons, and that would be one way to balance the storyline a little bit, because otherwise she'd be completely invincible. But I think it's misdirection to say that she's going the direction of the Mad King. There's a difference in not listening to Tyrion's counsel and outright just burning everyone that disagrees with you. And from what Emilia Clarke has been saying, Daenerys doesn't want to do that, but I do think that you'll see a couple moments like that. It'd be disingenuous if the daughter of the Mad King didn't have a couple Mad Queen moments. But it does sound like they tried to balance all of the characters in that respect. So as terrible as Cersei is, she's not going to be frothing from the mouth mad, although that would be a spectacular sight. That's why I think they're hyping up Highgarden so much. The loss of Highgarden and their forces would be a huge blow to Daenerys' army, because she does have the Unsullied, she does have the Dothraki, they're amazing, but Highgarden has one of the largest standing armies in the realm. It wouldn't quite cut her forces in half, but it would be a way for the Lannisters to take control of the grain supply, so it would fix that problem, because otherwise the Queen of Thorns could starve them out, and it would make Daenerys have to rely on her dragons more. But I think the really interesting thing here, the idea of them balancing the scales back in another direction, losing Highgarden would be a really big blow to them. But also, the Lannisters losing their control of the gold mines would be critical, because it's only tangentially related to Daenerys, but the Iron Bank is such a huge force in the world that nobody is thinking about right now, especially Cersei, that Mark Gatiss is coming back. He'll be a character during Season 7. The Crown was deeply in debt as of Season 1. It's only gotten worse since then. Cersei sent Mace Tyrell to try and negotiate better terms, but it seems like they still haven't paid any of that debt off. So it's been a long-standing theory that the Iron Bank would then just turn to Daenerys and support her the same way that Stannis was able to win their support. No one thus, though, has been able to repay their debt, so they just want someone on the throne that will give them their money back. As much as it seems like that'd be a big opportunity for Daenerys, she's made no mention of finances or the idea that she would repay any giant loans. That's really where Tyrion comes in. I think he could be a huge asset in that respect, as long as Daenerys listens to his counsel, because a Lannister always pays his debts, and the Iron Bank will have its due. So let me know in the comments, what sort of problems do you think that Tyrion is going to have with Daenerys this season? Because it can only end badly when you have trouble telling someone no, and when you as the leader seem to be invincible and have destroyed every challenge that's been put before you in previous seasons. I feel like that's probably the thing that's working against Daenerys the most. The fact that she might start to believe that she's invincible herself too because she's back in Dragonstone and everything seems to suggest that she has ultimate power. So it'll be really fun to watch it blow up in her face just a little bit. But obviously there are a couple big things we know have to happen before the end of the season. So there's all this drama that they're teasing out in character storylines that sounds like it'll play out at least the first half of the season before everybody gets their shit together by the end and they start to focus on the real threat of the White Walkers. So what's going to happen next is because we're in crunch time, there'll be a couple more bonus videos this week. But if there's not new footage tomorrow, I'm not expecting a whole lot to drop before Sunday. They typically don't drop an episode 1 trailer, but whatever happens, I'll do a video for it. Leave all your requests in the comments below. When we get closer to Thursday or Friday, I'll just remind everybody what my video schedule is going to be for all the episodes. If you've been around for previous seasons on my channel, it'll just play out the same way, the same type of videos that I've done in previous seasons. It's going to be totally crazy in the best possible way, but congratulations to Travis Udnick, you're the latest giveaway winner. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. While you wait for everything, you can click here for a brand new promo, and you can click here for all my Season 7 videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.